Yeah, awesome to be here.
Great to have you here.
Okay.
I know you don't. This isn't your everyday thing, right?
No.
Sitting on stage doing this.
Well, actually, I'm not the typical guy who sits in the cellar all day and builds in platforms, but I'm a computer scientist, and I'm an entrepreneur by heart. And 2 years ago, we started this, or we read this report from McKinsey, and let me tell you a bit about this not-so-silent revolution that is currently going on.
Please.
Most of you have probably heard about the gig economy, and having, 350 million people living in the US, roundabout?
Roundabout.
Yeah, there are 250 million of those people are actually in the working age. And 2016, about 30% of those working age citizens were side hustlers. They were earning money on the side, and that could be Uber, that could be Airbnb, and so on. But that is drastically increasing, and I want to invite you all, especially the investors and everybody who's interested, to participate in that. And Heymate actually is the first, or is the product of the Blockchain Applications AG, which I am the CTO of, and we're based in Zug, in Switzerland, in the Crypto Valley. And Heymate is the platform to enable those micro-entrepreneurs to earn money on the side with what they have, with what they own, with what they're able to do and provide services. And we're using the blockchain to back up all of this. So what Andy said before, that we need a product for the mass public, Heymate is actually the product.
I've got to ask you about the name first, because it's a pretty cool name. Where'd it come from?
Oh, it wasn't my idea, but I loved it at the first moment where I heard it. Heymate comes from the idea that everybody has its own sidekick. So think of Batman, for example. Batman had Robin, or Lucky Luke, and yeah. So everyone, or every successful guy has somebody who's working with him, and Heymate is supposed to be the tool for every micro entrepreneur who's engaging in business, who's side hustling, and who needs something to grow his business, to get in touch with other people. And that's where Heymate is just a common thing.
I mean, millennials are definitely your target, right? They're
Yeah.
going to love a brand like that, aren't they? Which is very good.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so who's the target? Yeah, let's talk about the target for it a little bit more. And actually, the other thing is, can you talk about how big the potential gig economy can be?
Yeah, well, based on the 2016 report, that was 2 years ago, we already had numbers close to 1 billion. So China, India, of course, is a big market. I already said 25 to 31% of the working age is doing side business, and that percentage is growing. So we're looking at more than 1 billion potential customers of the Heymate platform.
Okay, so give me an example then of somebody that would earn some money on the side.
Yeah.
1 or 2 examples.
Well, I believe everybody has already worked with someone. I was told that I'm not supposed to talk to strangers and not to hop in a stranger's car, and today we're actively looking for them via Uber, for example. But there could be people who earn money by providing laundry services, or taking your dog out, or whatever you want to do if you have free time and you want to earn some money, or let's say you own something that you would like to sell, for example, as well. Your lawnmower that you can't use anymore. There's so much property that is just laying around and is not being used. So I believe that's a big waste, and that there's a lot of potential to.
So one of the barriers to that industry thriving is trust and settlement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So how do you help with that?
So of course, blockchain comes in naturally there. The big problem there is that we don't really have yet a sophisticated, scalable blockchain in the production-ready set. We're still looking into it, but we have very, very high potential candidates, and we're building on them. So that is a big challenge that we are currently facing. On the other side, it's not that complicated. This technology has been around for quite a while now, but it is ready now to be brought to the public and for the mass consumer.
But, do you have a test net yet?
Yeah, absolutely. There are about I heard some statistics that about 6 to 9% of the ICOs that are currently being done don't have a product ready, and we're one of those who have an MVP, so a first prototype in the app stores for Google and for iOS.
So an investor doing diligence can poke it and see how it works.
So if somebody's interested, and I have it with me on my phone right now, but if somebody's interested and want to see it, of course, just talk to me outside, and I can provide some access, and then you can play around with it. So that's currently running on Ethereum as a testing environment. So it's not Visa-like speed yet, but we're getting there.
Exactly. I mean, we heard about the scaling issues and things like that.
Yeah.
But I guess you being the CTO, you could probably correctly evaluate what platform this might scale on. You said you haven't made a decision yet. Got any candidates you want to talk about?
Well, it's very tough to make a decision, because if you would have asked me 6 months ago, I'd probably tell something different than what I do now.
Yeah.
The whole ecosystem is changing a lot, very rapidly. So we have the Telegram Open Network being promoted, which is quite interesting, but they're still under the radar somehow. EOS is very promising. We heard about Stellar today.
Yeah.
Also very interesting platform to build on top. And they're very promising. So we're not just looking into it, of course, we're really actively developing on it. But if you ask me in 6 months, I might say something different. So there's a big evolvement.
But you know what's encouraging? Just let me give you some feedback there. Is when we see people come in and say to us, well, we're thinking of building our own full stack protocol from the ground up. And I think, okay, that might work. Whereas you're evaluating all that effort that's going into other platforms and deciding what's best for you. Yeah. So you're really popping up to be the IP that sits above that, right? Which I think is important. Now, let's think about the real potential of this. Let's say it really works, and you become the Uber, and I'm not sure that's the right description, but the ubiquitousness of how the gig economy monetizes itself. Yeah. What does it mean? Can it work for even the unbanked, for example?
Yeah. Well, that's a very good point. Actually, we have so many people who are unbanked. Refugees, for example, is a very big topic in Europe and here as well. People who don't have access to the ecosystem, to the economy in general. So, if we give them a tool like Heymate, then they have everything they need to be a credible, active businessman.
So, let's brainstorm that a little bit, because I mean, we've not really had the chance to chat about this.
Not at all.
So forgive us, we're just getting to know each other. But it is interesting, because when I think about in Europe, for example, the migrant crisis. They become an economic contributor as soon as they're provided with a few simple basic tools, that financial inclusion being one of them. But it's incredibly hard for them to get a bank account. How does that help?
Yeah. I would also like to say that the government is pushing for it, that they enable migrants to be credible and to be bankable and all these kind of things, but it's too slow. As you said, if they show up at bank, they won't get an account, but they can download the app. Everyone has a smartphone, so why not use that tool and go ahead?
And can they find work there?
Well, it's not supposed to be a marketplace. That's something I need to make clear, because there's so much competition and so many companies who want to build a marketplace, and that's just whoever has the most money wins. And there are already marketplaces who support this.
So would you connect to them then and make it easier to connect to them, perhaps?
I'll give you an example. Everyone has an account on Facebook. Right. Everyone is on Instagram nowadays, but how do you close a deal on Instagram or on Facebook? Even on Craigslist, you can advertise your services on Craigslist. Yeah. But when it comes to close a deal, what do you do next? You have to meet them, you have to call them, you need to have cash or something like that. But with Heymate, it's just a matter of clicks, and you can create. With Heymate, you can create an offer, you can distribute that offer in your already existing channels, like Facebook, like Craigslist, and you can view that offer and then close the deal with the people who you like. And reputation, of course, is a very big thing in that.
And of course, that would start to build reputation knowledge.
Yeah.
You might even end up lending to this community with the kind of data you have.
We heard some interesting thoughts that Uber, Airbnb might become something like a browser for these type of networks, and that's I think that's something that they should do in the future.
Okay, so what's the stage of the business, and are you raising any money?
Yeah, so we raised money in an angel round, so we are well set so far, but of course, if we really take this serious, and that's what we all do, we need to raise quite a bit more.
Are you going to do a token issue? Will there be a...
Yeah, so we're taking this event as the kickoff for a private token sale. So if anybody wants to know more details on that, please.
Where will you be? Where can they find you?
Right outside.
Right outside.
Yeah.
Good.
Or on Telegram. Our white paper has just been released, so it's live on Heymate.works. If you want to look that up.
Have you done your token economics yet?
Yeah. We have
this
some
audience
great
really
advisors.
know that stuff now.
Yeah, and we have some great advisors on our team. An economics professor who's backing up the economy that we are trying to build. We have some very talented guys for the token economics, for the marketing, and these kind of things. So there's a lot going
Honestly,
on.
mate, I think they should get mayors of every city that have to deal with this to sponsor you guys so that you help them transform some of their migrant challenges into an economics superpower.
There's an example that recently I was talking to somebody from the government of Austria, and they know that a lot of people are commuting in the morning, and they're all using their own cars. So they wanted to give the employees something to connect with, to offer their car for somebody else, and that's where Heymate is perfectly fitting as an example. I mean, there's so many things that you could do if you have a tool like Heymate in your hand.
Now, I know it's a funny thing to say that I think is an interesting thing about you as a company. But it is. You have a bank account, right? That's kind of unusual.
Well, in Switzerland, that's pretty easy.
Well, now you're a business that's working in the blockchain / crypto space.
Yes.
And you have a bank account.
I really admire the spirit in Switzerland, especially in Zug. It's all governed very, very locally, so everybody's well connected there. And
I mean, you have to be successful because we want them to give more bank accounts to more people.
And we were allegedly one of the first ones who got a bank account as a blockchain company with.
Don't screw it up. That's all I'm saying. Well, you are probably one of the most lucid CTOs I've ever spoken. What a pleasure to meet you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Thank you.